Hey guys, I am so excited about this. Megan is someone that I have felt like I've just gotten to know like better and better over the years, but honestly still stand at a distance and go, okay, tell me more. Okay, teach me more, share more. She's from a totally different aspect of this than a lot of us came in. And Megan's going to share her story, and we're going to do this real fast and real concise. Y'all aren't going to hear a lot from me, but um, the thing is, Megan came in with someone she didn't know personally. I'm pretty sure it wasn't really relational in the same way that we usually think about it. And and I think that's pretty spread up through her upline. And I'm curious to know if that's spread down through your downline too. Like most of us joined people we do life with. Um, or not most of us, but maybe a lot of us. But if you're wondering, every person I do life with already knows I do plexus, has already said no, whatever. I think Megan can give you a different perspective. Also, if you if you are a conservative American that feels like maybe your voice is not heard on social media, or you could possibly offend people and they might want to leave your social media page, I would just encourage you to follow Megan. She might be someone that you identify with, that you feel like if she can say it, I can say it. Or you might just be like, want to give her a virtual high five on the daily basis. There's just different aspects of her. And I love that I feel like I've gotten to know her more by following her on social and just adoring her through this business. So I'm going to be quiet. I want y'all to hear from someone who has done this business differently and so well and has so much energy in her team still happening. So I'm just going to turn over the call to Megan and we're going to hear from her for a few minutes.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm fangirling right now because since the day since the day I joined, it was like Andrew Mitchell, Andrew Mitchell, Andrew Mitchell. And now I'm like, oh, I'm talking on her Zoom. It's crazy. Excuse the voice, the allergies are out of control here in Massachusetts. So I just like can't I'm talking like a man. It's just the way it's gonna be for the next few minutes. Okay, so my name is Meghan Ashman. I joined Plexus in 2019, in December of 2019. So like a couple months before the world shut down was when I decided I was going to try these products out. So a little backstory, I had my daughter about, she's 7 now. So right after she was born, I decided, I was a special ed teacher and I was like, I don't want to go back to work. I was making my yearly salary as a special ed teaching assistant at the local high school where I went to high school, and I went back and taught there. My ending pay was $18,000 for the year. For the year. And so every 2 weeks I got that paycheck, and I'm like, $400 to like get up at 5 a.m. and bring my kids to daycare and do all these things, and then go teach kids, and then get yelled at the teachers because I wasn't teaching the children they wanted me the way they wanted me to do it. Like in the special ed world, I feel like there's a lot of teachers that do things because they want to follow an IEP and just get it done because that's the law and that's what the piece of paper says. And if these kids graduate, then high five to you. You did a good job. My way of teaching is I want to enable you to be a functioning human being by the time that you leave me and you learn something along the way. And sometimes that doesn't align. So it was a battle every day in the school district to do it my way or do it the school's way. So anyway, when I got pregnant with my daughter, she happened to be born right around that Christmas break, and I was like, I'm not going back after. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to find something to do so I don't have to go back to that 9 to 5 or the regular everyday job. And so I started an Etsy shop, and I was making these wood signs, like a few years ago with the farmhouse signs everywhere. It was like the cool thing to do. Well, I made those, had a really great, thriving Etsy shop. And the way that I did that was through Instagram. I used my Instagram. I would post the signs. I would make sales instantly from posting a picture. I would say, okay, I have 10 of these available. Comment if you want them. And I made a great income doing that. I also have a side spray tan business that I do because I was spending so much money spray tanning myself that I thought I'm going to learn how to do this and charge people to do it. So those were the things that I was doing. When on Instagram, I became part of this like home decor world that I never knew was a thing until it kind of came in my face. And we I met a lot of people that way. Companies would reach out and say, hey, will you promote our furniture? Will you promote our paint? Will you promote our rugs? Our anything you can think of with the house, people would send me wood flooring. As long as I did these projects and promoted their companies, they paid me and gave me free stuff. And I thought it was the coolest thing in the entire world. So I was cool doing that. I was blogging about it. I was making my things. I was doing my projects. And, making $1,000 to $2,000 to $3,000 a month. On a good month, it was 4,000. A great company. They would give me a house full of furniture and give me, $3,000. It was a lot of work. And guys, when I tell you that when you scroll through Instagram and you see these beautiful ads, hashtag ad, because that's the new thing that you have to like put that it's an ad. When you see those pictures, just know that there's 95,000 different pictures taken of that same thing with the bottle turned this way or this way or this way or this way. And you need to submit it. You are in contracts back and forth for like 1,000 years to just finally agree on something, with whether that's what you're getting paid, what they want in the image, what the plan is. Every single picture is a lot of work. And it was fun for me. And I thought it was great. Compared to my teaching money, it was a lot of money. So I was like, this is awesome. The home decor little world there is where I found Plexus, because a lot of these girls started posting about it. And I'm like, why are these home people who I kind of know, because we would be in like groups of, commenting and liking on each other's stuff, why would they be posting about this drink and these products? I got reached out to a million times and I was like, that's not who I am. I'm not going to do it. Don't talk to me about it. I don't care. Come Halloween time, that 2019, I guys, I am like a chocolate addict. Like if there's chocolate in my face, it's like I'm a crackhead with crack. Like it is so bad. And I was sitting, the Reese's peanut butter cups, because every house my kids would go up to, I'd be like, get the Reese's, don't forget the Reese's. They were above my fridge, and the kids would go to bed and my husband would go to bed, and I would sit in the dark because we have like cameras around the house because my son sleepwalks. Cameras in the house. So I would shut all the lights off, and I sound insane just even saying this, like it's embarrassing. I would go above the fridge and get all the Reese's peanut butter cups out, like after the whole house was asleep, and I was like binge eating. And that next morning, like one of those nights, I was like, this is what like, someone with an alcohol problem or drug addiction feels like when they've hit rock bottom. Like that's how I was with this chocolate addiction. It was so bad. I was living on like 8 cups of coffee a day, like always tired. So I messaged my friend Meghan, who was a longtime like home decor friend. And I'm like, what is this? Like, why you guys have all reached out to me? I wanted nothing to do it, but like, tell me if the health stuff is actually legit. So I started with the triplex. She's like, just try this. Like, it's going to be fine. If you don't like it, whatever, you can send it back. And I tried it. I fell in love with it. I was, I noticed the chocolate addiction was going down. I was craving like salmon and salad instead of chocolate and pasta. And I was not having 7, 8 cups of coffee. Like my natural energy was coming back to me. And so I didn't think they were working though. I felt good, but I'm like, the weight's not going down. Everybody's like crazy about the scale. And my husband took me out on a date to the casino one night, and I took this picture just because I was looking good. I was feeling good. You know what I mean? Like I took a picture in this cute red dress I had, and I compared it to the picture from my sister's wedding a few months before. And even though the scale was only like 2 to 3 pounds difference, it looked like I had lost like 20 pounds because of the like bloating, inflammation, all that type of stuff. And so I posted on Instagram, and it kind of blew up. And that's how I started my business. My upline, who I barely knew, I didn't know any of them besides, the girl that I had signed up with, Meghan Zott. She had, we talk occasionally about home stuff, but other than that, we weren't close. And they're like, just post, like your post is blowing up. Like, let's do this. So I quickly, within 5-6 months, I was emerald. Within 15 months, 16 months, I would hit diamond, and it blew up very, very quickly. And so I had to learn a lot about my business, and I'm still learning a ton about this business, as we go. And it's been 3 years now. But it was a whirlwind. And so that's kind of like a little backstory of how I got started. So I was not close with any of my upline. 99.9% of my business is done on Instagram. So that's being 99.9 of the people, 9% of the people on my team. I don't know personally. I have an emerald on my team who's my real life best friend, and I forced her to do this with me because I was like, I'm not traveling alone. I want you to look as cool as I do in these cars, like we have to drive around. And so she started with me. She went to Emerald. Her best friend from high school went to Emerald. So I have a lot of strangers on my team, and I think it's really, really great. Sometimes having close people on your team is more difficult to me than to talk to strangers. You know what I mean? Like it's more difficult to me to talk to my best friend and say like, hey, here's what we need to work on. Like, here's a coaching call. It's hard for me to take that best friend hat off. Whereas when I'm with strangers, I don't have that best friend hat to ever take off. So I can just say, okay, like this is where I'm at and this is the position we are. Like we're friends, and I've made best friends from this company through Instagram, but they didn't start out as best friends. And I think that was a beneficial move because I was able to coach them like a coach. I'm a big sports fan. Like I've coached sports, I've played sports my whole life, and then being a teacher, like I love that position of coaching and helping and guiding and when you're close and personally close to someone, I think that it's hard. It's difficult. It's hard. Not saying it's impossible, because I don't think that at all, but I think it makes a harder avenue. So being on social media and growing my social media or growing my business through social media has had lots of ups and downs because social media is changing all the time. Social media, it's not what it was 7 years ago. It's not what it was a week ago. Like we are changing all the time. And so I think being adaptable and having like that ability to just like change is a huge must with social media if you want to use that to grow your business. It's I like routine. I like things the way they are. And so with Instagram changing all the time over the last 7 years there, like what I was doing 7 years ago and how I grew all my following doesn't work now. And so we've got to be doing the trainings. We've got to be watching the people that are like the social media content creating managers or whatever they're called on social media. And there's thousands of them, guys. If you hashtag like content creating or social media managing or something like that, you'll find all these Instagram and Facebook profiles that tell you like what's new and what's coming up, and they've done the research, so we don't have to do the research. You know what I mean? So if they're like, go do a short reel, here's a little music thingy that's trending right now, make a 4-second reel and go use it. And so using those tools that they're giving us that we don't have to go do the research for has been key to growth still, because we've all got kids, we've all got lives, we've all got a million other things. I would rather trust the person that's actually spending all their day on this than taking the time out of my day to go do it. So I do follow a lot of them, and I do try to do what they tell me to do. And it brings in a lot of new people. And so a lot of the time, we've got our social media and it's working. We've, signed a few people from that. You always have to be getting new people to see your page. You always got to be creating new stuff to see your page. That's networking. And I know that, we've all done a ton of social media trainings before, but if you're not engaging a ton before you make your post and then engaging a ton after you make your post, no one is going to see your stuff, because Instagram wants you to be a community. And if you're just taking and not giving back, they will hide your stuff. And that's just the way the algorithm works now. So take the time to do that. I highly encourage it. It really does work. And it's going to get your stuff seen more. So, okay, what else was I wanting to say here? I know I have so much. I like don't have my notebook or anything. I'm so sorry. Okay, give me 1 second to look at my notes that I have on my phone. Okay. All right. Yes. So, like I said before, like the affiliate marketing is wonderful because we can have this link. Guys, I used to sit at my computer and phone in the gym for like an hour, and I would post this link, swipe up for these Nikes, swipe up for this shirt, swipe up for this. You know how much I've made off Amazon in the last 5 years of having an affiliate link with Amazon? Like $10 total, like $10. So it is so worth it to just take advantage of the opportunity that we have here, because we're doing the same thing. We're basically doing the same thing. We're promoting a product that we love. We're talking about a product that we love. We've got links, we've got, all this information, and the income is way, way higher than that $10 in the last few years that you would make off Amazon or any of these like to know it, whatever, like it to know it. I've never done that because you make like $10 a year. It's not worth your time. Unless you've got 8 million followers and they just do anything that you say. um, so a lot of people will see my Instagram and say, Meghan only got here in Plexus because of her following already. And so I think that there's a couple things behind that. So first of all, I have had people sign like our faux farmhouse. Have you guys seen her? She's got like 1 million followers, 200, 500, 700,000 followers. My other friend, Erica, I can't even think of her account now. I have had people order products from me and join with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers, if not 1 million followers, and they have never gone silver because they just assume that because they're following, this was before the affiliate link thing too, but that just because they have a large following, they're going to just sign 1 million people and everybody's going to buy and this is the way it's going to be. If you don't have the trust with your followers, they're not going to order from you. And I think that's why it was not so easy for me, but it was easier for me because for the years beforehand, and this is something that I'm not saying you have had to do yet. If you don't do it yet, start doing it now. Get on stories and just talk about random stuff because you build the trust that way. I'm talking about, I was walking last night with my son and talking about Mother's Day, or I'll talk about homeschooling my son, or I'll talk about, my daughter at lacrosse, or you're just talking about random things. But the more you talk, the more people can relate to. If I talk about my son's ADHD and his learning disabilities, guys, I have my whole inbox is full of messages like, oh my gosh, me too. Oh, that's crazy. What have you done for this? What works for this? Like saying that healing my son's gut got him off ADHD meds. Like I could go on there and talk about that and everybody wants to know, because these are things that a lot of people relate to. And if you just have the ability to get on there, like I 99% of the time I don't have makeup on. I look like a hot mess. It's just, that's my life. 90% of the time I'm in yoga pants and a t-shirt and my hair's up and I've got my glasses on. Like my eyes just got microbladed. So it looks like I have like patches all over my eyes. Like, I posted that last night talking about my eyebrows and microblading, and I had 20 people message me. It's like any way that you can connect with somebody, you're going to start building that trust, and you're going to build the trust to where when you start talking about your products, or when you're talking about Plexus products, they're like, oh, well, I trusted her with this. She told me great advice with this. She said something about this that I could relate to. Maybe I should listen to her when she says that these are legit, or these are working for this, or this is working for this. So be vulnerable. No one cares, like I live in a town right now where I grew up with everybody. All my kids' friends are all the kids that I grew up with's kids. Like they know everything about me. It used to be like a scary thing of saying like, oh, I'm intimidated by what people will think of me, or I'm intimidated, or I'm nervous to make somebody, what somebody will think of me. Guys, that has stopped so many people from doing this business and so many people from being successful in their life because they're so scared of what people think. You know what they also think? Meghan's so lucky because she gets to go to Portugal and she gets to go to Hawaii and she gets to go to Mexico. That must be nice. She gets to drive that Escalade around. She gets to do this. She gets to do that. So they can say all they want to say, and they can sit at the little town bars and say, Meghan this, Meghan this, Meghan this, while I am in Mexico and while I'm in Hawaii and while I'm driving the car that I always wanted, and while I'm doing all these things and traveling the country, they're still sitting at the town bar talking about me. So like, who's winning here? Because I'm pretty sure it ain't them. And so don't take the judgments or the insecurity of what people will think to heart, because it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. We all end up in the same spot at the end of our lives. So like, do what you got to do that's going to make you happy. Do what works for your family. Show up the way that, will make your children proud. be somebody that, you know, your kids can look at you and say like, my mom did this, or we got to go to Disney because my mom works hard, or we got to go on this awesome vacation, or I got to go play elite lacrosse because my mom worked really hard and she could pay for that summer camp. Things like that. Like those are the things that make push me to be better and push me to drive harder, is because I grew up with a single mom. I didn't get to do the fun things. I didn't, you know, our vacation was to Hampton Beach, was like this little ghetto beach, like 2 hours away, where like me and the rest of the hoodlums would hang out. You know what I mean? Like that was the vacation. It wasn't some luxury trip to Hawaii. It wasn't some trip down to Mayakoba, Mexico. Like that's for sure. That was never happening in my life. And so I want to be able to give my family and my kids the ability to do the things that I didn't do, or be able to homeschool my son who was getting bullied last year so bad that the school wasn't doing anything with his death threats. Like, you know, I wanted to have the ability to be able to say, you know what, screw you, school district. I'm going to do this better myself, and still have the time to do it, and still make the money, and still, you know, be all the things. Okay, let me look at my notes again. Sorry, my brain is just all over the place. Okay, so yeah, creating the content, making sure you are, this is social media again, creating content that's something people want to know. And so, okay, a tip for reels and creating the content that people want. Whenever you make a reel, this is what I tell myself all the time. Whenever you make a reel, is this something, because you know, when we love a good reel, or we love a good like little clip of great advice, we share it, we repost it, we will put it on our stories. Like, I love that. That was hilarious. I'm going to repost it. Or that's great advice. I'm going to reshare that. If you make a reel and you don't feel like, if you saw that on your scroll, if you're scrolling and that popped up in your feed and you said, could I repost that, or I would repost that, then don't post it. Make something that's valuable, that people are going to share, that people are going to want to repost, because that's more eyes on you. That's more visibility on you and your page. Make sure your content is something, because people are selfish. We know how the world works. People want and want and want and want and want. They go to social media to get, you know, cooking recipes, marriage advice, how to take care of your kids better, how to, you know, how to this, how to this, how to this. People are always wanting to learn more, how to be better, how to get this better, how to cook better food. Make sure that you're giving advice that somebody would want. And so that's why when you're posting about plexus, like, this is, I found something that helps me feel better. I don't need as much coffee. I can keep up with my kids. Comment how, you know, like, or, you know, if you want to know, message me. Something like that, that's going to lure people in, because people are always wanting to be better. Like, that's just human nature in most people, I would assume, is that they want to be better. They want to feel better. They want to, you know, be a better mom. They want to be a better wife. They want to be a better anything. And so giving them content that's valuable like that to them is going to keep them following you, and it's going to make them reshare it so that their people see your stuff. Okay, let's see. Okay. So I guess, I know I've got like 5 minutes. Sorry, guys, I have to go get my son from tutoring. Since I started my business right before COVID hit, we all know COVID was wonderful for our businesses. It was, everybody was home, everybody was sitting on their phones, everybody was sitting on their computers, everybody was wanting to get healthy and stay safe and have all their vitamins loaded up and all this stuff. And business was easier than maybe it is now. Business was, you know, I signed 85 people one month, like, just like, they just came to me. I didn't even do anything. Like, I was just like, hey, these products are awesome. Who wants them? And people were like in line, lining up. It was awesome. But I don't think like getting in at the right time matters, because it's all about the work. It's all about the effort that you put in. It's all about how you show up to social media. It's how you show up to your business. It's how you show up to your team. If I go on stories and I'm sick and I look like a disaster, like, yeah, I'm in my yoga pants and ponytail all the time, but like, I'm still peppy. I still have got energy. I'm still, you know, driving around, bebopping around town, like going my 9,000 different errands. Like, if I went on there every day and I was like, oh my God, life is terrible. Like, this is the worst. I feel so sick. My head is hurting all the time. And then I post about plexus and how amazing it is and how great I feel. Like, no one's going to believe me, because I was just on stories talking about how terrible I felt. If you're sick one day, don't go on stories. Like that's just like common sense. You know what I mean? If we're a health and happiness company, we want to look healthy and happy. That's just the way that it is. And so portraying that in your feed and on your stories is key. You don't want to look, you not like, you don't always have to be put together is what I'm saying, but like don't go on there being this like negative Nancy depressing thing, because I truly believe what you put into the universe you get back. So if you are negative, all you're going to do is draw in negative people to your life, and vice versa. If you're positive and bubbly, like Marianne Anderson, if you guys don't watch her stories, she talks about folding laundry like it is like she's going to the circus. Like she's just like, hello, blah, blah, blah. Like that's what drew me into being interested in following her, is like she's happy all the time. She's folding laundry for her like 12 children, and she is still happy and still thriving. And so like just be aware of how you come off on social media, because we all want to be real and we all want to be vulnerable, but there's a difference between being real and vulnerable and negative and depressing and blah. We all have real life. We want to share that real life, but we don't want to come off like it's negative and terrible, I guess. Is sorry, my son was calling. Okay, and then let's see. What I was saying, business was thriving during COVID. It's awesome. It's still going strong, guys. Like I still love when my face is on leaderboard, because that means my team is kicking butt. You know what I mean? And that's still, I'm a very competitive person. Like I said, sports were my life growing up. Winning is important to me. Winning and being better than I was the day before is very, very important to me. And it's not even like a competition with other people. It's I want to be better than I was the day before. And having that mindset, I think, is something that is going to push you forward. It's going to push you to be better. Like I want to wake up and say, this is my routine. I get in my back office. I look at my points every day. I know what I need for the rest of the month. I know what my goals are. And then I'm going to do this perfect 10, or Genevieve calls it the winning day. Like I'm going to do these things because I know that's going to further my business. And even just taking the 30 minutes to an hour to do those two things, like I feel like I am on the right track. And then I check in with my team, and you go into your team and it's, hey, good morning. What's the plan? What's the goal? What are we going to do today? I know, everybody's got people on their team that it turns into a therapy session the minute you go into their chat and you're like, this is going to kill my vibe today. Like, this is going to kill my vibe. Like, this is instantly, you try to flip it around, and I try to flip it around. That's something I really have learned through like reading books, watching podcasts, listening to podcasts. Because before, hearing something like that, like hearing something negative, being in a chat with a lot of negativity would ruin my entire day. So now my whole mindset is like, it's not a bad day. It's a bad 5 minutes. That's okay. Like, we're going to fix this from here. And I talk to my people like that too, like the people on my team. It's not terrible. You woke up to less points than you did before. You know what that means? We're going to work a little harder today and get them back. Like you just coach with the positivity. Don't feed in to this therapy session, and don't feed into the negativity, because a lot of people are negative. I think, it's society kind of wants us negative, because then they can sell depression meds and anxiety meds, and they can, make their money that way. So they want people to be blah. And when you show up with positivity, especially on social media, people want to see that, because they're so used to this, like the bad news and the terrible this and the terrible that, and the murders here and the deaths here, and, the wars here. So if you're the little bubble in social media of like light and happiness and fun, you're going to attract people to you without even, really trying to. But keep going when it's hard, like keep going. And there's, that may be the athlete in me that's like, I will not stop until the end of the game. Like there's no, it doesn't matter what the score is. If I'm down 100 points, I'm still not going to stop until the end of the game. It's the same way here. Like, I don't care if my points are thousands of points less than they were a year ago. I'm still going to show up. Like, I have Celeste Gwynn's points, and I am just like crushing this business. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still going to show up like the leader that I want my team to think I am. They don't need to know my points. They don't need to know where I'm at. Will I share that I struggle too? Of course I share that I struggle too, because I don't want them to feel alone, but I want them to know that we all struggle, and we can all push through it and we can all come out on top. And so I think, the summary of all that is just staying positive. The last thing I think that I've learned to do in my business, that before I have to run off here, is that I don't rely on other people. And that is, I'm like hyper independent as I go to therapy for because my hyper independence isn't always the best thing like in my life. I was the oldest sibling, single mom, like I had to do a lot myself. I had to rely on myself a lot. So I have learned that throughout the years, and it really does help with this business because I never looked at my upline like I was waiting for them to get me to the top. I was waiting for them to do this for me. I was waiting for them to do that for me. I was waiting for them to look for an answer. We have so many trainings on YouTube, back office trainings, Facebook groups. There is so much training and content that we need. Like I should never have to talk to my upline ever again. Like I would, if you really want it bad enough, you're going to find a way to do it. Whether you have a wonderful upline, which I do. She's one of my best friends now. She helps me whenever I need her. Our kids are friends. She drove up from New Jersey for my Diamond documentary. Like she's an amazing, amazing person. And I've got wonderful friends in my upline, but I never waited for them to do anything for me. If I wanted it, I was doing it. In my head, I wanted to be like, my goal was to hit diamond before my uplines hit diamond. Like I wanted to not as a competitive thing, but to say like, we can do this together. Like my diamond upline and I hit diamond a week apart. We hit diamond maybe 2 or 3 days at the end of the month. We hit diamond the same month. And we pushed and we worked together. Like it wasn't a competition. We were just cheering each other on and pushing each other and hyping each other up. But I guess what I'm trying to say is like, don't rely on other people to get you where you want to be. It's your life. It's your business. It's your decisions. It's your work ethic. It's your, it's your everything. Don't rely and one of my biggest frustrations of this business is if I have somebody in the downline, oh, my upline, my sponsor's not helping me. My sponsor's not helping me do this, or she's not helping me in chats, and she's not helping me in chats. Girl, you got 9 billion different places to look for information, and you have sideline sisters, and you have an upline that's willing to help. So like, just because maybe your direct upline doesn't take this business as seriously as you do, does not mean that your business is never going to be successful, because it's just not the way it is. If you have the mindset and you have the drive and you have the determination and you have the willingness to just dig your feet in the sand and say like, there's no way I'm not doing this, you're going to come out on top. You will. And I tried for diamond 3 months in a row, 4 months in a row before I hit. And each month I'm like, yeah, that sucked. I cried a little bit. And then the next day at 12:01, it started the next thing and I was on to the next. And so we all fail. We all have setbacks. We all have things that push us back. We can blame our children for being an excuse. We can blame our busyness. My husband and I are going through a separation right now, and I just moved out 2 weeks ago. Like I could blame a lot of stuff on a lot of things, or a lot of things on a lot of stuff. But in the end, it's really about what's a priority to us. And it's really about how much we want to succeed, or the excuses that we're going to use to fail. And we can look at it either way. So that's all I've got. I'm so sorry I talked so long.
No, I was so glad. I thought you're like, I don't know.
And I'm like, yeah.
And I'm like, yay, we get more and more. Here's the one thing I want to ask you real fast. When you're getting people started, how do you actually like get all of these people started when you're starting so many people all at one time? Like you're like, from the person that's added 1 customer this month to the person that hopefully will add 6 or 9 because they're trying to get that cruise thing going. Mm-hmm. What's the thing you're making sure everybody that starts, whether they're on social and influencing, or they're a mama and they've just starting out really like investing in social, where are you starting everybody like in systems?
In systems. So basically I will sign them up. They're ready to go. We've got a couple like start here videos of just like a little background information. We do a like newbie business orientation, I think once every 2 weeks. But we have a recording that I can send out that if it's in between that 2 weeks, that I can send to them. But the first thing is I'm like, all right, let's get going. Let's make a post. That's the first thing is who we're going to text and who. Let's make a post. Do you want a post saying like, and I go two different ways because whatever people are comfortable with, it's either going to be a post that says like, I'm so excited I started these gut health products. Who wants to be my accountability partner with me? There's that route. Or the other route is, thanks so much to Meghan Ashman. She hooked me up with these gut health products. If anybody wants info, comment below and Meghan will reach out to you. So then I get in three-way chats instantly with those people and then teach them, how to talk to people and what to say in chats through that way. So then those are the two options. Obviously, people will text their family, stuff like that. And then I try to, this is a new thing that I'm trying to do because it did get overwhelming when I was signing massive amounts of people each month. That month that I signed 80 people, probably 78 of them canceled the next month because I had no idea what I was doing. I was like 2 months in. I didn't even know what gold was. Like I didn't even know how to log into my back office. It was bad. And I've gone back to those people and I've gotten a lot back, but I have gone back to those people and I recommend this to everybody. Go back to the people that joined you in the beginning and say, hey, I'm really sorry if I didn't give you the attention or didn't give you the information or advice that I should have given you in the beginning. I was starting new. I had no clue what I was doing, and I'm going to admit that, and I apologize. But I would really love now, 3 years later, if you would trust me to try these out again, because I really do believe in them 3 years later, and I still believe they'll work for you. And I'm sorry that I wasn't there in the beginning. But yeah, so I get them to post, and then I watch their stuff. Like basically, up to silver, I am hand holding, spoon feeding, all the things. When there's a lot of people, it gets very overwhelming. So I have tried to change the way I do business that way. But yeah, and setting up the systems is still something that I'm in the process of doing. And like my uplines and I have worked together on different things that'll work, and things like the newbie orientation and product orientation, things like that, to keep retention better, keep people happy, keep them in the know. But getting them on a Zoom in the first like week is my new goal of like saying, okay, this is like a little back office info. Here's what we want. I get to know their why. I get to know what they're doing this for, so that I can write that down so we can always go back to that. Because, when times get tough, I want to be able to say like, listen, you told me that your son really wanted to go to this summer camp. I'm not letting you quit until that happens. You know what I mean? Hopefully that's helpful.
Yes, please go. I know you need to pick up your son. I appreciate you giving us all of the minutes. If everybody else wants to stay on the call for just a couple of minutes, we can talk through some stuff. Meghan, you are amazing. Thank you so much. You know that I just think you're just incredible. And I've loved getting to partner with you on all kinds of things. And I'm so grateful for today. So thank you.
Thank you. The feeling is very mutual. Thank you so much. Bye guys. Have a good
Bye,
one.
friends. Okay, so although Meghan had to leave a little bit early, we have some time. If anybody wants to ask any questions and someone has a response to it, I think one of the biggest things that I have learned from Meghan, but then so many people in our company that did so much of this on social media, is that they built for years that like, know, trust with a lot of people before they started sharing Plexus. But if you're sharing Plexus while trying to gain a like, know, trust with a huge audience, you have to do something every single day. You have to show up. You have to show them who you are. Why should they like you? How should they trust you? And what should they know about you? So that they kind of feel like, when I decide I want to buy a multivitamin, I'm buying it from Tony because I know her. I know things about her family. I know where they're going. I know what they've done. I know what they're looking forward to. And I really think the more that your audience knows about you, and if you are a private person who's like, I don't want a bunch of strangers knowing anything about what's going on with me, then you need to find something in your life that you can talk about constantly, every single day, that you can share that. How do you do this? Maybe you do DIY. Maybe you cook great meals. Maybe you, garden, and you can talk about that every single day, and you can gain new followers that right now are strangers, but will come into a community that want to know more about the same things that you want to know about and the same things that you love. And then you bring them in without having to share your personal life. I only know how to share my personal life. I don't know how to do a whole lot of other things. So my audience gets me. But your audience, I would love in the chat if everybody would say something that you feel like you offer your audience. And your audience could be 4 people, your audience can be 40 people. It doesn't really matter how big your audience is. How do you serve them on social media? Like, how in the last week have you served social media? I'd love it if someone put something in the chat, because I just think it's great for you to know how you actually show up. And in the meantime, does anyone have any questions? Okay. Here's the thing I would say, whatever that thing is that you're showing up in the chat saying, are you sharing that every single day? Are you showing up in stories with it? Are you posting in your feed about it? Are you researching it maybe even more to find out how to give more information back out? Are you doing reels about it? How are you actually the expert to your audience in that thing? And I don't mean like the expert, like everything. I want to be really cautious. Becky is a trained, licensed, schooled, hours upon hundreds of hours of therapist. Like she's trained in that. I am a special needs mom. I just have 17 years of one kid, like that's all I know. But I can talk about my one kid all the time. I can talk about the things I learned today. Beck can talk about, all the things that she's learned over years, but she can also talk about how she's using it in her own life, like how it fleshes out as now a mom of a teenage girl. So you can be okay, someone said my children. Why are your children of service to an audience? Like, when we think about it that way, like, how are you serving other people by sharing? Go back.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I saw, Joanne, where you said my children, and my thought there is great, because one thing I don't want you guys to hear is, well, you should stop sharing. No, the problem is you're sharing too little. I promise. Even if it's mundane, like when Meghan was talking about getting in your stories and talking so people get to know you. But Joanne, my thought when you say my children, I'm like, great, what about them? Because I end up finding really helpful stuff just from other moms with teens, because raising teens is hard. Or I have a youngest child that I think probably has ADHD. So when I have friends who share about their children's impulse control, like, I'm drawn to that. I don't want to make my kid, Andrea has Ella, and Ella is a huge part of Andrea's brand as a special needs mom, but she also has 2 teen boys, and she's got to kind of be careful about how much is appropriate to share about their stuff. I carry that as well. But all of us are experts on our children. And what I mean by that is, take your parenting wisdom and let that be of value in a way that doesn't, unnecessarily expose your kiddos, but be an expert. Y'all, today I started following someone who has 13,000 followers for folding laundry. I saw one of her reels and I was like, who is this? And I went straight to her thing and watched like 9 more reels, because I'm like, I want to know how to fold laundry the right way. And her tagline says, for some reason, I'm famous for folding laundry. And it was that interesting because she does a good job. So whether you make casseroles and you're like an expert on that, by the way, I would follow you for that. You just have to post more. That doesn't mean be on social media all day, but it does mean stop sitting. I have several team members that they sit and think and think and think and think about making the perfect post. And then what happens is they post once a week and they're not on anyone's radar. So just don't get stuck, but do create value, and you have to screw up first. Tammy Raynone is on this call, and I messaged her and said, you're doing a great job, because she's recording herself working out and like lifting weights. And I'm an aging woman, I'm in my 40s, and I'm drawn to all videos about women in their 40s lifting weights because it's something I'm going through. So whatever, like, stop trying to please everyone and go create content that you would watch, even if it was mundane, even if it's me feeding the birds, because I'm obsessed with my birds, people will watch it, but just keep showing up. Don't get so into your head about, am I doing it right or am I doing it wrong? The more you post, the better it will become.
Yeah, I just think The funny thing is Becky mentioned casseroles. Really, she wants you to share your casserole recipes with her. She told me this morning she made
I'm not even kidding. I just need some help. And I
like,
will
"No, really."
watch. I watch.
I have a question.
Casserole. Go ahead.
Okay, so I have a question. So I'm not real tech savvy, 65 years old, Instagram, I'm trying to learn it, Reels, all that kind of stuff. My question is this. So how important are hashtags, and is there something that I can learn? I mean, is there something I need to do when I'm posting something with hashtags?
Yeah, Christy, that's a great question. And you heard Meghan mention how important it is to just find a couple of Instagram content creators and follow them, whether it's Facebook or Instagram. I love Brock Johnston, which I forget if anyone knows his actual Instagram name, just put it in the chat. He's recently said that hashtags are like, at one point people were putting like 30 hashtags and they're not as important, but what they serve to do, Christy, is if you are, the casserole making expert, then you might use a hashtag of like DIY casserole or whatever. That would help people find you. Otherwise, I think what's really more there, it's in the chat section. His name. I
see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good follow. I think he just talked about this recently, but I think what's more important than things like hashtags is you just getting comfortable. Like, don't overthink it. Just show up. First of all, your friends will watch, and you might get like 3 people to watch your videos. That's fine. The more you show up, the more Instagram will start to show.
Well, like I did one from the car the other day after my Orange Theory workout, because I was just so proud of myself and what I did. And then later that night, my daughter was like, so are you like really uncomfortable when you're doing those, videos on Instagram? And I'm like, why? And she goes, well, because you don't like really come across as really natural. Like, I know you. And I'm like, oh, great. Thank you.
Christy, nobody is more critical of my social media stuff than my children. So, and I always say, oh, thanks for your feedback. You're not my target audience, sweet girl.
Right.
Bless your daughter. Your daughter is cringing because you're her mother. Can I tell you, at 47, I would be all about watching a woman in her 60s talk about her Orange Theory workout, because it gives me such hope of like, oh my gosh, there's other women that are like, they're wanting to age well. They want to like exercise, lift weights, whatever. Like, that's an encouragement to me. So just keep showing up. And I just put my daughter on mute. I'm like, I love you, baby, but I really need you to cheer for me, because this is a huge source of our family's income.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I would say the same thing. Hashtags have come and gone and come back again. And then like everyone's changed the rules on them. Here's the thing you will find out. Becky and I do not know the rules. We don't know what's cool. We don't know what's trending. We will find out the same way that y'all will by following similar people. We'll see someone do a reel and we'll recreate it in our own way, and it will flop or it will fly. And we don't put any stock in those things. If I think what's really great is when you cheer each other on, when you share each other's reels, because you actually think they're valuable. Like, I love sharing Beck's reels because I'm proud of her. I know sometimes she's being vulnerable. I know sometimes like the content is really good and people just don't see it. And so I want to share it. And I just think all of those things are important. But at the end of the day, whatever you're sharing, it has to be like for at least one person that you're like, if one mom hears this and this changes her mood today, or if one of my friends gets out and goes on a walk today, because I'm out walking and talking on stories, or if one woman decides I'm going to pick up a 5-pound weight and do that one routine that I saw Tammy do today, or if one, like Dave, if one person leans in and goes, okay, maybe I am done with corporate America. Maybe I really do want to lean in and see what this business could be all about. Like, but are you sharing it every day? Are you doing it in such a way that people are like, okay, you're folding laundry. Tell me more. Like, I want you to not be perfect. I want you to not be polished. I want it to be hashtags or no hashtags. I want the reel to be trending or not trending. What Beck is saying is you have to show up. You have to show up. I am going to challenge you to show up in stories 5 times a day and not sharing a meme, sharing a GIF, sharing an inspirational quote, like in some way you showing up. Like, even if it's you sharing a friend's reel and saying, this is my friend, I love how she talks about this. This is my kid's recital from the other day. Moms, it's okay if you let them pick out their own character. You don't have to, they don't have to be the star of the show or whatever it is. Like, add some value from you 5 times in your stories today.
So when you say show up, you don't mean like visual, like they have to see my face.
Yes, Christy, I'm going to tell you they had to see your face 5 times today. No, but they don't have to see your face 5 times today. Okay. But I do think the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll be. 9 years ago, when I started this business, I could not speak in front of my friends at my house. I could not stand up and do a Plexus presentation. I could record myself in a video and put it on my team page. I eventually figured out how to do lives, thinking nobody's actually looking at these, but I just want to challenge you. The more you show up, the more you do stories with your face and your voice, and you cringe at yourself, the more likely you are to do a training for your team 3 weeks later.
Well, I can do training. I mean, like, I can stand in front, like, I've been in ministry since 1984. I can stand on a pulpit and preach to 2,000 people. There's something about going on Instagram, like doing those things. I feel weird, like holding this phone and doing this selfie talking thing. Like, why is that so awkward for me?
Hey,
Christy, talk to Becky and me. Talk to us.
I was going to say, it's Christy, because you're new, because you're starting something new. Like, it's always uncomfortable. By the way, if you preach to 2,000 people, then you should do some preaching on Instagram. I mean, like, take what you do and like mix it up. Here's me at Orange Theory, and here's me giving you a word for the day. But I would just tell everyone on this call, don't overthink it. You are learning something totally new.
Yeah.
Jump in. I have a friend that says, go ugly early. And what she means is, like, stop trying to get perfect, just jump in, let it be ugly, let your first reel be awkward. Girl, you can always go back and delete it. But also, people really like real people. Years ago, Instagram was about curated photos, and we all followed like the people with the absolutely perfect homes. And I still love just the pleasure that it gives you to look at like a really great photo. But my favorite people on Instagram are hot messes, because they feel more familiar to me. So,
well, y'all are some of my favorite people. Like, I come on this, and I the last couple of weeks I've been on, and I'm like, I don't want to miss a Monday masterclass. Why? Because I look at y'all, and seriously, I mean, in all due respect and everything, I say, gosh, if they can do it, I can do it. Like, they're not totally polished.
No.
So I need to reverse that for myself and say that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You need to give yourself, like, what's the saying? Don't let perfection be the enemy of good enough. And I just promise you guys, if you will jump in, I've heard so many of my team members say that 2021, we talked a lot about like create your niche. And I still believe that, but I really think if you're so stressed about what's my niche, that it's actually keeping you from showing up, you've missed the forest for the trees, like, just get on, let people get to know you. People are they buy exactly what Meghan said. They buy who they trust. They buy from whomever they trust. So you will create trust the more you show up. And like, look at me. I smell just like I look right now. And I did a reel looking like this morning, because I was like, no, like, it was funny. Nobody cares how I look. And it's true. So start creating
content. So I just turned on my camera. Like, see, like, this is, I hate going on like this, because I think, oh, I haven't fixed my hair. I don't have my lashes on. No, it doesn't matter. Just do it anyways.
Do it anyway.
We're here to show you how to show up with no makeup on. Yeah. Your teeth aren't brushed, and nobody knows it because no one can smell it. It's not scratch and sniff. Like, my hair is almost always dirty, y'all. I mean, and I'm always in leggings and tennis shoes. Like, and if you saw the other side of my,
but y'all look so cute. I'm saying,
you look
cute. No. You don't get to compliment us and then turn it and then say it's not. You're adorable. Just go show up as you, Christy. They don't want us. Your audience doesn't want me, and they don't want Becky. They want you.
Exactly.
They want to know more about you.
Exactly. And that goes to everyone else on here too. So just keep showing up. And you know what else? When you have a new VIP that tells you they want to go silver, share content and tag them. So it makes them easier for them to reshare your stuff. Okay. So that's just a little onboarding tip. I've got a couple of new silvers who I just tag every time I'm creating Plexus content, or even if I'm resharing a reel from another Plexus creator, I tag them so that they can then turn around and just whatever gets them sharing. Do you know what I mean? So that's another little trick. Okay. I think we're close to finishing up. You guys, just a reminder, if Andrea, she might have said this at the very beginning, I hopped on about 2 minutes late. We are doing Masterclass Mondays every other week now. We're kind of moving into a summer schedule. And so this week we had Meghan. In 2 weeks from today, we'll have our next person. So go to the calendar, that's the May calendar that's there in the table, and make sure you put your stuff in, because, you know, as we move into summer routines and summer schedules, you and your team members, it just helps if you have it already programmed in your calendar. Anything else, Andrea?
Nope, that's everything. Make sure y'all checking calendars and Meghan said, do your work, do your own Plexus work, and that will move the needle. So we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Thanks.